What is up everyone? Today I'm going to be unboxing this Apple Mac Mini, but before we get into it and before I explain what the heck is going on, apologies for any background noise. It is raining like hell outside and I've got a flat roof on my office and you can hear it pretty clearly, so if it comes out on video I really do apologise for that. There's not much I can do. But anyway, here is this Mac Mini. Now, it is probably quite a bad time to buy a Mac Mini, so I don't recommend doing it. I believe these were last updated in late 2014, but I could be wrong. I don't think they've had an update since then, but anyway, this specific model definitely has not changed since late 2014. This is the bare basic, bottom of the line Mac Mini that has a 1.4 gigahertz dual core i5. It also has 4 gigabytes of RAM, a 500 gigabyte hard drive, and Intel HD graphics 5000, so it's by no means a beast. Now, until Apple upped all of their UK prices, this machine was $399, which is definitely steep for those specifications, but at under £400, pretty good to get a Mac for that sort of money, although a few years ago the Mac Mini line was looking a lot healthier. But since all of these price increases, you are now looking at £479 for this dual core 4 gig of RAM, 500 gig hard drive little box, which is, pretty much a crippled computer. If you want to compare this speed-wise, it's sort of, if you're looking at Geekbench, I had a quick look on Mac Tracker before beginning recording this video, it kind of begins to rival a 10-year-old Mac Pro. So it's not the quickest thing on the block at all. It really, really isn't. But this is not mine, and I'm unboxing it for work. Now, I've said all of those things, like it hasn't been updated and it's pretty slow and it's pretty expensive, but for what we want to do in work with this, it is by far going to be plenty. So basically, I'm going to dig into the box, we're going to unbox it, and then I will explain what we're going to be using it for. Now, firstly, obviously, work have bought this. It is not my money, so that is one thing. And secondly, the reason I have it here is because I'm going to set it up for everything that we need it to do at home. Then I'm going to bring it into work tomorrow or whatever and put it into place, because it is going to be put to work doing a very specific task, and I can set all of that up here, which will be much easier than me spending a lot of time in work doing it. So that meant that I could unbox it for you guys. Now, interestingly enough, this is only the second ever brand new Mac that I've unboxed. Even though I've got a lot of Apple computers, as you guys know, most of mine come from eBay and places like that. And actually, come to think of it, this is pretty much the first completely brand new Mac I've unboxed, because my MacBook Pro Retina was a refurb unit, and my 17-inch MacBook Pro that I got 5 years ago to go through college with, that was bought by college for me, so it was technically brand new, but it had already been opened to have software installed on it and stuff from the IT department. So this is actually the first ever time I'm unboxing a brand new Mac, pretty much, unless I'm forgetting something completely obvious. But anyway, here it is. One thing that I love about the packaging for the Mac Mini is this box is pretty much the identical size to the computer itself. As you can see, this is the computer, so it's solid, and then we have a tab here to lift it up. Here it is. Nice bit of kit, nice chunky sort of slab of aluminium. I have to admit I prefer the older Mac Mini designs, but this is a lot flatter. It's just got a larger footprint. So there is the computer. Next up in the box we have the Designed by Apple in California. Little bit of documentation and Apple stickers. Not going to unbox that. Next up we have the power cable, which is indeed a very nice looking Apple power cable. It looks nice, it feels nice, and it's kind of small and low profile, so yeah, that's pretty good. Put that with the machine, and then we've got... what on earth is all this space for in the bottom of the box then, folks? Nothing really. That's odd. There's a lot of like empty space, but I don't know. Strange. So anyway, there we have it. The Mac Mini is unboxed. This structure in the box is actually quite weighty. I guess it's because we've got a UK plug, and of course with the UK plug it's very bulky, so it needs space to sit in there. But yeah, wasn't expecting that really. So that is the extent of the excitement of unboxing a Mac Mini. So let's slide it back there and pop it over there, and here it is. So let's do the exciting tear of the seal, where we lose all sorts of return privileges and whatnot. Better do this flat, actually. It's proving to be a little difficult. There we are. There is the machine out from its packet, and there is not much to say about these machines at all these days. So on the front we have got what looks to be an IR sensor and a little LED. Could be wrong. I thought they took the IR sensors off all the Macs, but they may have left it on here. At least that's what it looks like. Nothing on the sides. On the back, what do we have? We have quite a lovely selection of ports, to be perfectly honest, folks, especially compared to other Macs these days. God knows what they're going to do in the update. So we've got power in, gigabit Ethernet, HDMI, 2 Thunderbolt 2 ports, which obviously work with displays as well, 4 USB 3.0s, an SD card slot, audio in and out, and a little fan vent here. So definitely a gorgeous set of I/O on this machine. That is one very attractive thing about the Mac Mini. So even though the Mac Minis these days really aren't that good value, especially compared to the iMacs, if you do crank them up and get a nice processor and an SSD and things like that, then you know you're getting a nice set of I/O to go with it, unlike the new MacBook Pros. On the bottom, we have got this big round thing, which I believe you cannot remove anymore. This is all factory. I don't think I can even put RAM in this thing. It is stuck at 4 gig, I believe. I could be wrong there, because I've never opened one of these before. I'm not 100% sure if they actually twist or something, but who knows? I'm not going to delve into it. This is Works machine, and this is probably a good time to talk about what we're going to be using it for, actually. So the reason that I've purchased, or they purchased, a Mac Mini is because we are, for those of you who don't know, I work in a cinema, and we are introducing some more sort of digital advertising kind of things around the building. So one of the things that we've done is today, while we bought this, we bought some TV sets, and we're going to be putting them up around the building, and I'm going to feed from this Mac Mini, I'm going to feed content to those TV sets. Now, why have I gone from Mac Mini to do this? Well, a few different reasons. It falls to me to make the content for this advertising system, as well as distribute it and put in a system that can be regularly updated and, you know, make sure it works and things like that. So this is my area, and my expertise is with Apple stuff and Apple software. So for this, I'm going to be using Keynote. I'm going to be using a timed presentation in Keynote, and I'll be using the automatic startup and shutdown features within OS X for this task. Now, there are way cheaper ways to do this. For instance, a lot of people use Raspberry Pis and things to feed TVs, but the idea behind this is this can sit in the control room, it can be networked up, it can feed HDMI out to a splitter, which can then feed all the TVs, and I can use Keynote. I can update my Keynote file from home here, so I can update it. It can sync up with this system over the network, of course, over the internet, and then next time this boots, it loads up a fresh copy of whatever changes I've made, and I think you can set Keynote to automatically go into a slideshow when it boots. So basically that's what we're going to be doing, and that's the best I can come up with. Again, you know, these sorts of digital presentation things are not my area of expertise, but Keynote, a Mac Mini, and some TVs, I don't think you can go wrong. So this has plenty of horsepower to power a 1920 by 1080 output running Keynote. I just really hope the 4 gigs of RAM can cope with the system running possibly for about 10 hours at a time. But that is something to be determined, I guess, and I don't see why not. You know, they're flogging it with 4 gigs of RAM, so I bloody well hope it works. Anyway, let's plug it in and boot it up, and if any of you are interested in asking any more questions about the plans that I have for that system, then feel free to ask me, but it's a very basic system, it's nothing very exciting at all. So yeah, let's plug it in and fire it up and see what it does. So there is the Mac Mini sort of sandwiched in between my Nintendo Wii and that speaker, and I've got one of my retro Apple USB Pro keyboards connected, and this brand new compact mouse with a sort of tied up cable and stuff. So yeah, wonderful test setup, and we're going to be using this big 32-inch TV because why the heck not? And yeah, so this is first boot. What I'm going to do is make sure the TV is on the correct channel, so HDMI 2 I believe, and we're going to hit the power button if I can find the power button. Okay, so we have now located the power button. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. There's the little LED coming on. Waiting for the bong. There is the bong. Something that they may well take out of the next Mac Mini, if the new MacBook Pros are anything to go by. So, it looks like we're on the wrong channel. This is an Intel machine, obviously, so it will display instantly. For anyone who has never used a PowerPC Mac, there is a delay when you press that button to when you actually get a picture on screen. But these are pretty quick. Although this machine has a hard drive in it, so it will be noticeably slower on startup. Noticeably slower. And that's one interesting thing about this particular model. I know Apple are really stingy with their flash, but I hope that we see the back of hard drives really soon in these sorts of computers, because I understand a lot of consumers like a lot of storage for photos and music and things like that, but it's kind of, the storage needs of consumers it's not really growing, because more people are using Spotify for streaming, they're using Netflix for videos, and you're using, you know, online like iCloud storage and stuff for your photos. So local storage isn't as important, in my opinion, as a nice speedy 120 gig SSD. But yeah, it's got a 500 gig 5400 RPM drive in it, so it's not going to be the quickest thing in the world, I'm afraid. And that's one thing I don't like about this model. I mean, for me, the CPU is absolutely fine. I know I've never used it, but just from, you know, what's on paper, the CPU for your basic computing needs of the person that is going to buy the lowest end Mac available is fine. It is more than fine for day to day. But the 500 gig drive and the 4 gigs of RAM is kind of there. Maybe in 2014 when it came out, that was something sort of acceptable, but these days I really hope that we get no Macs with less than 8 gigs of RAM in the next update. And wow, this is actually taking quite a while. I've not booted a modern Mac or any type of modern OS X system with a hard drive for quite some time now. Been SSD in my Hackintosh, and obviously my MacBook Pro that I've owned for a couple of years now, flash-based storage. Anyway, here we are up and running. So, I'm going to go through all of these details, and what I think I'll do is I'll turn off the light now that you guys have seen where the Mac Mini is, and you guys can actually maybe see the screen a little clearer, maybe not. So, use English as the primary language. Oh, this mouse is working rather well. Apologies that you're getting horrible lines on the TV screen, folks. There was a bit of beach balling already there. That's crazy. So, yeah, is this a sign of things to come? It probably is. United Kingdom, continue. British keyboard layout, continue. I'm going to connect to my Wi-Fi for now. The reason I'm going to do that is because I don't want to run an Ethernet cable over here, and I may need some internet stuff. So, put in my extremely secure password. Don't transfer information. We don't want to enable location. Don't use. Definitely not. This is not a portable machine. We don't want to use our Apple ID, because this Mac doesn't necessarily belong to any individual. It's being used in more of a company scenario. We agree to the terms and conditions. This is where we will create the login details. So I think most importantly is choosing the appropriate picture. So we will have... there's nothing really film-like here, so I think we'll just go for a basketball, because it's bright and orange. Why the heck not? Done. And we'll make the account. So check this out, guys. I don't know if you can see on camera, but it went away there quickly. But basically I had a beach ball there. Let me put some more light on, because it's throwing the camera's going pretty crazy. Anyway, oh, that'll do, whatever. Basically, it was sitting there beach balling for ages, and I thought to myself, if this is your first Mac that you're buying, this is, you know, you'd expect a bit of a faster experience. I mean, I know the drive is slow, but there shouldn't be any excuse for beach balling at this stage. They should make this procedure streamlined enough to run on the hardware that they sell, for Christ's sake. You know, it should not lag around the place here. It should not. They should not. See, again, beach ball, right there. And it's... Look at this. I know it's the setup procedure, it's making the account and everything, and using the computer maybe quicker and snappier, but the thing is, this is the first impression. Anyway. So we have the lovely wallpaper, followed by almost a menu bar, another beach ball. This is taking absolutely forever, folks. And we now have our menu bar, so just waiting for the dock. There is the dock. Wonderful. Ping up today if it likes. There we are. So we've got Mac Mini late 2014, 1.4 gigahertz Intel Core i5. That's a dual core, 4 gigs of 1600 megahertz DDR3. We've got Intel HD graphics 5000, and that shares about 1.5 gigs. So yeah, well, we're running on LCAP, so this could do with an update up to Sierra to keep in line with my MacBook Pro. So we will have to do that now, I think, although my internet is really slow today. I'm not too sure why, but this could do with a bit of an update. So I'm just downloading Sierra as we speak. Reason I want it running the latest OS, it wouldn't bother me at all, but I want it to get the correct updates in regards to Keynote, so it's the same with my MacBook Pro. That way it'll be easy for me to sync the presentations. And that's the only application this system will probably use. It may do something else in the background maybe in the future, but that's pretty much the goal. So what I've done is I've set up some rough energy saver preferences for now, because before a machine can be deployed to do something like this, crucial settings have to be changed in the energy saver preferences to make sure that it optimally behaves. So for instance, this is a display output that we'll be using, so turn display off after, and obviously set this to never, because we don't want it to turn the display off or go into screensaver, so I'll have to prevent screensaver in a minute. Prevent computer from sleeping automatically when the display is off, that's very important. Put hard disks to sleep when possible. We don't want to do that because we don't want any kind of slowdown, even though it'll potentially load the entire presentation from the network directly into RAM. We still don't want the drive sleeping, so it may reduce the life of the computer, but you know, for now, get it up and running. Wake for network access, but that makes no difference anyway because it'll never be asleep. Start up automatically after a power failure. This is very important. If you get a little power cut, the machine will kick back into action and do all of its usual things that it is meant to do. Then, of course, the screensaver is here. And we want to completely disable the screensaver. That's important, otherwise they'll turn on the TVs around the building and all they'll see is a screensaver. So start after never, so that completely disables a screensaver, which is good. We'll just wait for this to download now. I've restarted my router and my internet seems to be a bit speedier now, so that's okay, it'll chug through that and we can get on with the update. So it is chugging away installing. It is pretty damn slow, but at least it downloaded it nice and quickly after I rebooted the router. I've managed to edit this entire video, all of this that you've just seen previous to this clip, while I've been waiting for this machine, and it's still nowhere near finished, so I don't really mind. It's not sort of a crucial timing thing. I don't have to rush to do this, but I would like to continue configuring the machine. Basically all I've got left to do is put a couple of network sharing stuff in place. I'm going to have a couple of fallbacks just in case, so I'm not too sure how the main presentation is going to be hosted yet, but I am going to use Dropbox and stuff as a bit of a fallback. And I also need to set up screen sharing with this because I want to be able to access this computer from here. I'm not going to need access to it all the time, and I want the file to sync automatically, so I won't need to use screen sharing to update the keynote presentation, but I want to, as soon as this gets put into its place, I want to make sure screen sharing is fully set up so that if something goes wrong and I'm not in the building, somebody can phone me and I can access the computer, or at least attempt to access the computer from here. But I believe I'm going to have to set that up when the Mac Mini is in place. So other than that, not much to do. I've got to actually create the content. I'm going to make about 3 or 4 minutes of rotating keynote presentation for advertising and deals and offers and upcoming films and all that kind of thing. And I'm going to make a template that is going to be my go-to template for easy updating. So that way it should be pretty effortless. Once this whole system is up and running, it should be pretty effortless for me to just update it once a week and away to go. And other than that, we are nearly there. So just really quickly, folks, I thought I'd make a start on the presentation while I've got 10 minutes to spare. And within Keynote, it is super easy to get things going. So when you make a new document in Keynote, there is a 16:9 option. You can set custom resolutions for your slideshows anyway, but if you go to wide, this is 16:9, I believe, so you can select your presentation. And then within the inspector on the side, if I just show you here, if you go to document, under the document tab, you can select automatically play upon open. So this file will go straight into playing when you open it, which is obviously essential, meaning that the whole process can be automated. And then loop slideshow. This means there is a continual reel of slideshow. And then of course, when you make your presentation, there we go, slide size widescreen 16:9. When you make your presentation, you then just time everything and you are good to go. So I'm going to make a start, I reckon. So we are now updated to the latest version of macOS. I set Keynote to launch at startup. We don't need it for now. So we are up and running, which is great. So what I'm going to do is quickly check for any more software updates. You have to do that through the App Store now, I think. Just check. We do have a few updates. So I'm going to update all these and then I can continue fiddling with my preferences and things. Good morning, everyone. It is the next day and I've been fiddling with this Mac Mini quite a bit. So what I did was I put together a test keynote presentation with 3 slides, all timed, and one of those slides was a 2-minute trailer for Rogue One in 1080p HD. And I let it run on a loop while I went to work yesterday. So it ran for about 5 hours and it didn't skip a beat. I came home, I turned the TV back on and it reconnected to the TV straight away, even audio, because audio might be used, it really depends, but it would be nice to have the option. And yeah, video and audio via HDMI reconnected straight away. The computer was still chugging through the presentation. It was great. I also tested the automatic shutdown and startup features. They worked fantastically. I set the computer to not only launch the application, in fact it's not launching the application, it's launching the presentation file directly. It's stored on the local hard disk at the moment because I'm still in the early stages of testing. And it launched it on startup and it went straight to play it and it timed it straight away and it played the trailer straight away and it did everything that it was meant to do. Now the only hiccup that I've experienced with this Mac Mini is not the fault of the Mac Mini. Now this is quite good that I'm using a TV as a test platform here because it gives us some idea of what things are going to look like and how things are going to behave. Now one problem that I've had is when this started up this morning, I wanted it to start up automatically. I think I put it at 9 o'clock or something. The computer started up, everything was absolutely fine, it was doing everything it meant to do, but there was no display on the TV. Now this could be the TV being fussy, the computer being fussy, I don't know, but the TV has got to be switched on while the computer boots up. That is one thing that I've noticed. It has to do it. Once it boots up with the TV switched on, you can turn the TV on and off as many times as you like and it'll still come back to displaying the image and playing the audio. But an interesting thing about the setup in work is that it is not going to be directly connected to a TV. It's going to be connected to a HDMI over Cat6 adapter. So the good thing about that is the system will always be powered up. The HDMI via Cat6 converters and extenders, or whatever they call them, will be powered up 24 hours a day, meaning that whether the TV is on or not makes no difference. The Mac Mini will see the converter as the output. So when the Mac Mini automatically boots up, it'll say, right, there's the converter, it's set to 1080p, let's connect to it, boom, we are done, and then the converter boxes will do their thing, send the HDMI over Cat6, and whenever the TVs are turned on, they'll all automatically just come on because they're receiving that signal regardless. So the only problem that I've had is not going to be a problem at work, which is brilliant news. Because, as I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not an expert on this kind of thing. I'm using a Mac and Keynote because I know how to use Keynote. I've got no time or desire to learn any different software or to learn any different platforms to manage this stuff on. I know Macs, so I can configure the network and everything to do exactly what I want it to do. And it may be an expensive route, and it may be less than ideal, but I think this is going to be pretty good. I've got a good feeling about this. But as I said, we're still in the early stages of testing, so I'll just continue testing over the next couple of days. The TVs haven't been installed by the electricians yet, so they'll be put up. And I've got plenty of time. I've pretty much finalised my presentation template. I was working on that yesterday, so it's all good. I'm very happy. So leaving my specific usage of this system out of the equation for a moment, I'm just going to talk briefly about the Mac Mini before we wrap up this video, because it's a little bit long for an unboxing. The Mac Mini, look at it. Look at the size of the box and look at the size of the computer. It's absolutely gorgeous. But in this configuration, especially with all of these tiny PCs coming out, it is not that mind-blowing in this configuration. And unfortunately, the product line has been crippled by non-user upgradability in the last revision. So it's quite saddening to see, because one thing that I really do like about the Mac Mini, and I always have done, is you get a lot of computer for your money considering it's a Mac. Yes, if you spend 500 quid on a PC and 500 quid on a Mac Mini, you will get more specs for your money in the PC world, of course you will. But if you just focus on the Mac side of things, the Mac Mini, pretty much most of the revisions of previous years have always been really sort of good value for a Mac, and you're getting a nice nifty little system in a very compact package that is capable of a lot, and they're pretty damn reliable machines. One thing that I still love about the Mac Mini line, as I said, is the input-output. I'm not sure how long it's going to stay like that, if the MacBook Pros are anything to go by, but obviously there's a lot less reasoning to take ports off of the Mac Mini than there is for the Mac Pro. I can't imagine these getting much smaller. Really can't imagine Apple putting much energy into that, but who knows? I could be wrong. They could make them seriously thin and take away all the useful ports, but who knows? But anyway, the Mac Mini, a pretty sweet machine. If you crank it up, when you buy it, it's going to be nice for a couple of years. Real big shame that you can't delve in there and just, extend it a little bit longer with a bit more RAM or something in the future. And also, it's a big shame that the prices have gone up so much in the UK, because to be perfectly honest, this has gone from a system that I could once see myself buying if I ever needed one, to a system where I'm like, no, I just can't do it. Not the way things are at the moment. And who knows, the way Apple are going, maybe that could be the same for lots of brand new Macs in the future. We could be looking at sort of the home stretch to a non-Mac future for users like myself, but we'll see how things go. I'm not going to try and predict what's going to happen. I'm just going to sit tight and see what happens. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this unboxing of the Mac Mini. I'm super glad that I got this opportunity to show you guys a brand new Mac on the channel and to talk about probably one of the most interesting Macs Apple make at the moment, actually. And the reason it's one of the most interesting Macs is because it's the least powerful one, and it comes with such sort of Stone Age specifications. But there we go, there it is. And I don't think I have much more to say on the matter. So if anyone has any questions, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have advice for me, saying so-and-so would have been better for your application, so-and-so this, that and the other. But yeah, I'll do my best to answer questions and speak to you guys in the comment section. So I hope you've all enjoyed this unboxing, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.